knew, Lord, I'm ready for change. I can't keep living like this. I don't wanna be the same. Lord, I'm ready for change. From the inside out, I don't wanna be the same.
Welcome to Ready for Change. I am your host, Simmone L. Bowe. So excited to have you join us. So excited about the new series that we're doing called the Good Man Campaign. And it's something that I really am passionate about seeing us as people, human beings, learn to support, understand, and respect each other on a human level, first of all, and then on a gender level, so that men and women can do a better job of understanding each other. And tonight, my expert guest is Epic forealz. He is an entertainer, a DJ, a host, a street baller, a systems administrator, just a really super talented, well-rounded guy. Someone that I enjoy talking to get a male perspective on things. And someone who, I've found can really push me as a human being to be better. Just because he's one of those types of people who will just tell it like it is and keep it straight all the time. And you need people like that around you. And so I definitely appreciate the role that he plays in my life. And he is someone that I believe the world needs to hear from. And he's doing some great things here on the local scene and entertainment, and someone definitely to look out for. So right after this break, we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about the Good Man campaign on Ready for Change.
To all of my female entrepreneurs, it's time to expand your region and business profits. Are you networking in the same locale and viewing the same guest list over and over? Do you find your colleagues are referring new business and its clients that you already have in your portfolio? Are you industry stagnant? And are your social groups and events filled with the same people? If you answer yes to just one of these questions, it's time to expand internationally. You are cordially invited to petition for attendance to an all-female exclusive and private event featuring the Power of 52 Women, the East Coast International Business Symposium, hosted by rockstar entrepreneur and international business consultant Erica A. Murray and multimedia distributor and expert Letitia M., and moderator Ms. Joan Henry of the Women's Entrepreneur Expo, beginning February 28, 2015 in Baltimore, Maryland, March 28th in New York, April 18th in Washington, D.C., May the 23rd in Atlanta, Georgia, June the 20th in Boston, Massachusetts, and September, Africa. If you are serious about your business, don't miss this event. Go to www.thepowerof52women.com for more information. Once again, go to www.thepowerof52women.com and register today. This is an event you don't want to miss.
Incarceration doesn't just affect the one behind bars. It affects everyone. Here's your chance to let others know that being locked up leaves others locked down on the outside, hurting emotionally, economically, and spiritually. We want to know how you feel. Go to www.lovelockdownseries.com and make your creative voice heard. lovelockdownseries.com. We're listening.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Ready for Change. I am your host, Simmone L. Bowe. I am a transformational speaker, author, mentor, and strategist. I help people and businesses to navigate the turning points in their lives. We all go through changes. We all go through periods of stagnation where we may be feeling stuck and overwhelmed and frustrated. And sometimes we need that support system in our lives to move us from where we are to where we need to be, whether that's the person that's going to jog your awareness or that person who's going to support you as you move toward your desired place. That is something that I am totally passionate about and committed to as my life calling, to help people do that, to live their best lives, to live purposefully, to live whole, healed, authentically. And so that's the basis of the show, Ready for Change. Are you ready for change? Are you ready for the better? Are you ready for more? There's a lot of times we pay lip service to what we say we want, but we don't do what is required to get what we want. And in all aspects of our lives, we're just like that. That's just us as human beings. And so, as I mentioned up front, just before the break, doing this campaign, this movement really, starting with the radio show and moving into other things, because I'm really, disturbed about how I see we relate to each other as men and as women, as young people, children, the roles that we see ourselves in, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we interact with each other, to me is in many ways unhealthy. And it's not going to bode well for the future of humanity if we continue on the path that we're on. And so the Good Man campaign is something that you need to keep your ears and eyes open for, because we're going to be talking this month especially on Ready for Change with a number of men who I would say are good men. And the thing about it is that good men are not perfect men. None of us is perfect. As a good woman, you're still not perfect. There are still things about you that still growing that need to change and so forth. And it's the same thing with men. But for some reason, we've become so comfortable in saying that men are dogs to the point that saying that men are good almost sounds odd. It sounds off. It sounds weird. And that's the way the world has been going, that what is normal, what is good, is turning into the strange thing. It's turning into the abnormal thing. And I want to flip that. I want to change that paradigm, that we have great men out there. We have men who want to be responsible. We have men who want to be purposeful, purpose-filled, who want to self-actualize, do the things that they want to do. They want to be family men. They want to be honored and respected for who they are and what they bring to the table. They want some appreciation. They want for us around them to say thank you for the things that they do. Thank you for going out there and pushing yourself and being that tough guy to the world. And the least we can do is to say thank you. The least we can do is create environments for you to be able to breathe, to be able to be able to let your hair down and be yourself and replenish and regroup to go back out there into the world and fight for your family and fight for what's important for you. I truly believe that's important. And it's not that I'm perfect or I did everything right, but it's me learning from the things that I didn't do right, and me observing and talking to other people and looking at the impact that it has on my friends and the males in my life who share it, or people in my sessions who share the things that hurt them. Many times there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. It's just a total lack of regard for another human being. And that is what I hope to change through the Good Man campaign. And so I'm really happy to welcome an entrepreneur, an entertainer, a street baller, someone who's just really tapped into who he is, what he's about, and what he wants from life. And so right after this break, we will come right back to talk to my expert guest tonight on the challenges of today's male. The challenges of today's male. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
This message is from the desk of Tamika Melton, the teen self-esteem strategist and the founder of Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated, commonly known as RAY. Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated is a mentoring and leadership organization serving youth 8 to 18 from diverse backgrounds with an urgent focus on middle school and high school girls. Our foundation is built on integrity, purpose, perseverance, and love. We teach youth to live life rising above expectations through self-esteem building, healthy relationship education, self-harm prevention education, and anti-bullying prevention and intervention services. In order to continue our mission, we need your help. Rising Above Expectations Youth Services Incorporated is searching for sponsors, volunteers, and partnerships to build stronger communities through the youth and families we serve. Please contact us directly at 202-421-1945 or email us at info@raeyouth.org. And please take a moment to visit our website at www.risingaboveexpectations.org. And in the meantime, I'll ask you to live life rising above expectations.
Hi, this is Caprice Smith of the Uncuffed Radio Show. Join me every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn how you can grow in your business, personal environment, and reach your true potential while uncuffing what is binding you. Only on the Maybe Help You Radio Network.
Welcome to Ready for Change. I am your host, Simmone L. Bowe. I am happy to have joining me tonight someone who is multi-talented, really diverse in all the things he's into. I'm going to let him tell you more about what he's into, but I'm happy to have join me Epic forealz. He's an entertainer, a DJ, a host, street baller, and a host of other things. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Epic.
You're going to just throw me out to the lions with such high hopes of being interesting at this point?
Yes. Don't let me down now. You are very interesting.
All right. I think she called me interesting because of the vast, I guess, variety of interesting, so to speak, things that I indulge in, from entertainment aspects of things, from just having a 9-to-5 just as a tech background to just having a lot of hobbies that have turned into businesses. I'm just always doing something, I guess. And most of the things that I'm doing is either revolving around something that's really technical or vast, or from the entertainment field and those kind of things. So I guess I'll dig deeper into the things that I do based on the conversations, I guess, that we have, rather than boring the people with my crazy life.
Oh, come on.
I want to throw my crazy life into the wind. And
you have the kind of life that we all like to watch. Reality TV at its best.
My life, your entertainment.
Hello, that's what it is.
I'll take it, I guess.
So tonight we're talking about the challenges of today's man. As you know,
what?
Yes, you didn't know?
I thought we were talking about Empire and Scandal.
Oh, well, if you want to include that in the conversation.
Let's go back to the good guys.
Well, you know that we are at Ready for Change. We are embarking on the Good Man campaign. Where our focus is to see the good. You know, a lot of times men are getting a bad rap, and in some cases well-deserved, but we won't go there. But, you know, we women have our contribution to make. But the whole thing is really to honor and celebrate and respect the good men that are in our environments, because they do exist. And so we want to do this campaign to really define what that's all about, what a good man is, how to identify, you know, when someone is not being good, and really to promote better understanding between men and women, because I find that, you know, we are polarized now based on all of the issues that we experience as genders. And so I want to talk tonight about the challenges that today's male faces, because especially from a woman's standpoint, a lot of times women think, well, men don't go through anything. They cause all the problems in the world, you know? And it's only through talking to people like you, you know, that it gives me as a woman a different perspective of what a man thinks and what a man goes through. And so I really want us to get into that tonight in this conversation.
That's an interesting leap on things when it comes to... So is it more about the definition of a good man, or is it a definition of a good man as it relates to already being thrown under the bus from a woman?
No. No buses, no buses. This is straight up, real talk. Let's hear from a man's perspective what it means to be a good man, what it means to be a real man, and the challenges that men face being a man, because we know that it's not easy. It's not easy being a woman, so it can't be easy for a man to be a man in today's world.
Now, is this the truth we're telling, or is this the watered down political use this anywhere answers?
No, this is the absolute raw, down home truth. This is Ready for Change.
Boy.
We are on a show where we don't just talk change, we live change.
And you're already telling my name, too, eh?
Yeah, but you know, they don't know your real name.
So they can know how to find me. Stop playing.
They'll just find your fan page.
let them do that then. But for the sake of saying a good man, I'll put it like this. Ladies are going to have a really hard time deciphering what a good man is by sight or just trying to figure it out or whatever, because that definition has already been polluted by just society itself. So those good men that you would be out there looking for, they keep company with the guys that aren't good guys. They socialize with the guys that aren't good guys. They indulge in things that are not good man-like. So there's a lot of little things that play into the fact that you may have a man that's a good man, but he may not come off as a good man to you because he's so caught up in the things that he has access to. So the things that you would consider a man to not be a good man for would be, okay, well, he's either sleeping around, or he's not pursuing his dreams, or he's not goal oriented, or he doesn't have a good job. But from a woman's perspective, when you say a good man, what stands in the forefront of defining that, to say, you know what, he either is a good man or has potential? Where would you?
So you're asking me questions now.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. So I don't want to base my response too deep before I get just a slight, insight on a female's perspective. Because when you say good man, my perception of a good man would be different than yours. Because a woman would say, he don't love me because he don't tell me he love me. But a man may be going out to work every day, busting his behind, doing this, doing that, to show his love through his ability to provide and support and protect and that kind of stuff. But she just wants him to tell her that he loves her. So she thinks that he doesn't love her or doesn't express those things because we just expect us to do things in different ways. So I just wanted a little insight from a feminine perspective of what could be considered a good man, just for women to just base this off of, for the women that would listen to this.
Okay, so
maybe give me like two qualifications.
Just two?
Give me three then, since you want to throw it out there. Give me three.
Okay, what I would consider as a good man.
Some good qualities now.
Some good qualities. Well, for me, I think it would be focus. That would be one. So tied in with focus would be, as you talked about, goal-oriented, purpose-driven. Mm-hmm. You got something going on for your own life. Mm-hmm. That would be something that I could admire and actually help you do or support you in some way, even if it's just to be a cheerleader or whatever. That's what I would see as a good man. One quality. Another quality would be someone who is, mature. I think / responsible. I'm going to slash a lot of words in here so I can squeeze in like 5 words instead of 3.
Oh, boy.
So I would say, mature and responsible. So someone who really does what he's supposed to do, whether it's with himself or in a relationship or whatever. A man who can even if he's alone or single or whatever, he can take care of himself. He's responsible for his own needs, his own wants, his own life. And he's mature enough to be able to handle what life throws at him. And then the third thing would be, this is hard, because...
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It is, because I'm trying to be balanced and not think of what I would say is a good man, like in a relationship, or just a good man generally.
See, that's the better question. That's why I asked, because it's sort of hard to say what's a good man, because if you're looking from the outside and he's not in a relationship yet, so you may say this is a good man to me in this relationship because he does X, Y, Z. Or you may say I'm interested in dating and I see somebody that comes off as a good man. So that's two different levels to a good man. So that's why I asked, just to get a perception of it. But just the challenges part of just saying that, okay, well, what is or isn't a good man or whatever like that, is sort of mixed, because like there's levels to trying, I guess, to be a good man. And I guess the majority of it comes from outside influences, because, well, in the society that I live in, which is basically in the Bahamas or whatever, you have a lot of guys that tend to just be about simple things. And that's chasing after women they really shouldn't be chasing after, or just, I guess, valuing the wrong things. And basically they just head themselves after all the wrong things because the people around them are doing those exact same things. You have the friends of yours and in the bar and to work, and all they're thinking about is sex and women and how many women. And over time you've understood that men are, I guess, seen as more desirable the more women want them. So they look at it more of a numbers game to say, okay, I sleep with this much women, so that must mean that I'm desirable. And I'm guessing that women in that case should be more selective about who they procreate with or have kids with and sleep with or whatever, because they have that option to be more selective. So I guess that's where the whole double standard, I guess, thing comes into play or whatever. But the majority of the guys will be considered good. It could be a doctor with a nice education, humble background, all this other stuff. You may call that, okay, that's a good guy. I can see myself settling down with him.
You see, that doesn't matter to me. That's
his friends, the ones he hang around or whatever, they the same one, either always in the strip club, always hanging at the bar, sleeping around with women, this one paying this one to do that, all this other stuff, which would be considered not good man qualities, I guess, and would put him right back in that same bracket. Because like I say, earlier when I was talking to you about some stuff before we actually turned we pressed the record button, there's a lot of times when you have situations where guys, I guess, they adapt to the lowest common denominator of man when they hang around those type of friends, when it comes to those guys where you won't bring your positive energy to the conversation or whatever, or your positive parts of your life to the conversation, if all they're dealing with is the negative end. They're talking about women and beer and hanging out and partying.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring your life into that type of situation and be the alpha and then change the whole scheme of hanging out. You're going to just say, you know what, it's easier to fall back and pretend to, go along with them for the moment. It's almost like everybody come from the rich side of town to hang out here, but you ain't coming to my house.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? But I'll come to yours and just do what I got to do and leave. But you're not going to come to my house because you're not going to pollute that. But there's a lot of different levels of challenges when it comes to just that aspect of it. I could throw challenges out there for days when it comes to just...
So what would you define as a good man?
A good man in general?
From your male perspective now. You heard a little bit about mine.
See, I'm trying to be really broad. Because I know when I go really raw, I ain't going back to broad. So I'm trying to give enough substance to the people that's listening that want to hear the concept of where I really dig in these ideas from. They get that, so that when I leave that concept, they can just be like, okay, well, yeah, he makes sense, but now...
Yeah, now he's off course.
No, he's not off course. He's just straight to the point now. There's not going to be much...
no beating around the bush.
No. See, I'm beating around a little bit so people can get some substance. But in a couple of seconds, I'm about to just leave all substance and go straight to the point. People are going to just have to pick up on what I'm talking about.
Well, my third quality that I thought of just now was I think a good man is one who is authentic. One who is real and true to his personality and who he is, whatever that may be. If you're affectionate or funny or loving or, athletic or whatever it is that you are or whatever you're into, to be true to that I think for me, it makes a good man.
I think a good man starts with who understands what respect means. Whether it's respecting the people around you, respecting your family, respecting the opposite sex, respecting yourself. I think a good man starts with understanding what priorities mean and putting those kind of things in the forefront to know what money is going to be valued in the future when it comes to building a home, having a substantial relationship to the point that when you have kids, you have something that you can, I guess, pass on to them. You can actually raise them in environments that they won't be hindered to not being able to have the best or what they need because you're financially, unable to provide those kind of things and whatnot. I think a good man comes from understanding and loving the concept of family to the point where regardless of the type of people you surround yourself with, the people that you say you either love or you want to put yourself around on a daily basis, whether it's relationships, friends, co-workers, whatever, you value those relationships that you build and bond with and stuff like that, so that when you decide to do have either children on accident, which is a lot of the times that happens in our community, which is basically a reality, or by planned, you understand that your obligations are now based around your priorities, which is one of the further points, like the prior points. And now you have somebody that's willing to, I guess, build around the responsibilities at hand, rather than just looking at a situation on the surface and saying either I will or won't deal with this. Like, that shouldn't be a question. So I guess from a woman looking for a good man or a woman looking at a good man just in general, I think those would probably be the top three things that they would really need to look at. The respect factor, the priority factor, and the ability to adapt to wanting or understanding what it means to love or want the right type of family around you. And that could be friends, that could be actual family, that could be relationships, whatever the situation is. But most people, they show their true colors on the surface if you really pay attention. But you got a lot of people that don't really pay attention to what they should. They just adapt to whatever is going to get them attention, basically. Yeah. So if they just want attention from somebody, they'll feed into what the person is delivering rather than putting them in a position to be themselves, and then you get to see what type of person it is you're dealing with. Because everybody got the same approach nowadays. It's all about attention and basically sex. Whether that's sexual energy, whether that's sexual confrontations, whether that's sexual acts, whatever it is. Everything is attention and sex at this point.
Yeah, which is a whole other conversation.
Basically. That's why I left that one on the route.
So would you define that, if we were to say what is a good woman, would you use those same qualities to define a good woman?
No.
What would a good woman be for you?
This is where the problem starts.
Why?
You can't measure women and men with the same stick. It's impossible.
Why not? And so you just made all the feminists really pissed off at this point. Because we're saying we're equal. These gender qualities should be equal, right?
See, the crazy thing about that is, let me just throw something out there for the feminists listening, because I've never been one to keep my mouth closed about facts. Feminists, you have your own place when it comes to fighting for women's rights, making sure that women have equal rights and equal opportunities and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. But you have to look at the fact that feminism started from a concept of not wanting to be oppressed. There's no men, my color, oppressing anybody. I don't think. Now, when you talk about laws in place that doesn't provide you, or certain situations that doesn't provide you with the ability to have the same jobs and all this other stuff, I encourage each and every one of you to continue to fight for the ability to do these jobs and all this other stuff. But when you talk about equality and if you could do it, I could do it, like, that's a thin line, because at that point now you're talking about equal rights. And the majority of the time when you hear women that fight for this, I want equal, I want equal, I want equal, those are the ones that doesn't want equal. She just wants half of what you can do. Whatever you can do, she wants to be able to do it. But if you say, okay, I'll let you do whatever I can do, but that must mean that I can do whatever you can do at the same instant. It's now a no, it don't work that way. So it's not a two-sided coin. You listen to a feminist and she'll say, if that man can work this job, I want to work that job. If he can do this, I want to do this. If he can do that, I want to do that. If you turn around and say, okay, If we have a child, I want a fair opportunity to be able to say who's the better parent or better fit for that child, whatever. Deal? No. If you put your hands on me, that means I can put my hands back on you, right? No. Everything that you look at that would be more in the woman's favor, in certain situations that would just be considered life, that man will not get that opportunity to have that so-called equal right. So that's just a few reasons why I would say you can't measure men and women with the same stick. So if you were to say, what's a good woman? I'd say a good woman would be someone who has the ability to better the people around them, aka that man that she would involve herself with at certain points in time. I'd say a woman who has the ability to compromise, a woman who understands what the word submissive means.
Oh, Lord, you just gone to strike two. The S word.
See, when people are submissive, they think ball up in a closet.
Yes, getting beat down, tied up.
That's not the case. It's like you can get your point across without cussing, shouting, fighting, whatever the situation was. And there's a guy named Tony Gaskins that I was watching today with another big YouTuber that I watch, and he was talking about relationships and people and all this other stuff. And I just love watching stuff that like either I have an opinion about already or stuff that I have no idea about. But he was speaking on just the way that men go about relationships in the wrong way, or just the way that his current wife deal with things. And like, she would get her point across without ever fighting, fussing. She doesn't even really debate her point. She would put her point out there and she would be quiet about it. She would give you the silent treatment. She may walk away for maybe a few days or whatever the situation is. But it's never a matter of fighting and fussing and all this kind of things, because there's certain levels to being a man. And a man doesn't want to be tested in levels that other men would test him at, because we just operate differently. That's just as much as a woman is. You don't want to be in an emotionally unstable place and have a emotionally unstable man respond to you. Like, you don't want that. You don't want to have to deal with an overly emotional man or an under emotional man or whatever the situation is, because that's not going to click with what it is you need. Like, women listening now could attest to the fact that you don't want to come home with a problem. You bothered at work or whatever the situation is, and now you want to have a conversation with your man about work, and all he wants to give you is the solution to the problem, and that's not what you want. You just want to be comforted, and you want him to listen, and you want to make you feel better, and all the man want to say is, okay, your problem is A, okay, here's the answer B.
Yeah, because that's how men and women are really different. Because men are solution oriented, men are problem solvers. You were created, I think, to be that way. Because of your role. And it's hard to really adapt
to things like that because of the fact that you can't measure the both of those on that same level. Because if a woman deals with things in one way and a man deals with things in another way, we have to sort of like learn what is right and wrong when dealing with that individual woman or whatever. And a good woman would be one who is willing to, why I use the word, be submissive, to listen long enough to understand what makes that man tick or what makes him move, so that you know how to make him better or how to boost his ego or how to make him go out there and feel more of a man, or to just keep him feeling like he has someone like a support system behind him, rather than demeaning him by trying to show him how much y'all two are equal, or trying to, I guess, every level that he brings his manhood to you at, you try to meet his manhood with what would be seemed as manhood, but coming from a woman, and that throws everything out of whack. So
yeah, because we talked about this before in another setting, where you said that women tend to compete with men. So we talk about we're trying to compete for equal dollars, equal opportunities, and that sort of thing.
Which is great.
But in your opinion, you express that women sometimes take that competition too far.
Basically, like most women, they're out there, I guess, competing with men in a sense. Maybe not to say, okay, well, haha, I won. But it's just to the point where it's hard to be a man when a woman has certain, I guess, abilities to be above you. It's almost like I'm stronger than you, but I'm never going to use my strength to overpower you, because I know that that's wrong. Just as much as a woman has things that she is more capable of doing, or she has an upper hand over a man with doing, and if she chooses to abuse that aspect of it, nobody really calls it out. They just says that, okay, you're not man enough to deal with that strong woman and other stuff like that. Concept of strong woman, I don't I don't think much men just want a strong woman like that. That's not a quality we just run behind. Now, if you're talking about somebody that's goal-oriented and they got enough strength, I guess theoretically, to say they're not going to give up, they strive, they provide, like they'll do whatever they got to do to make sure that people around them are okay and happy and safe and provide, and whether it's work 2-3 jobs or they make a mistake and they trying to, I guess, mend those wounds or whatever the situation is, that I would consider that to be a great woman. But not to say, okay, a strong woman or whatever, because that concept has just been thrown around.
So how do you define that concept then as a strong woman? Because I think perhaps culturally that's coming across now as this, I mean, if you were to get a visual of this professional woman, she's making her own money, she doesn't, quote unquote, need a man. Would that be the type that you're talking about?
The majority of the time when you hear somebody say there's a strong woman is because they're now coping with the mistakes that they've already made.
Really?
You always hear, okay, that's a strong woman. She raised 6 kids on her own with 3 jobs.
Oh, Lord.
And she provide for me and my sisters when my daddies was in there.
Oh, jeez.
This is when you, majority of the time, have the strong woman situation. And everybody says, okay, well, she was an amazing woman to go through all that. But you never really took a step back and say, hold on.
How did she get in that in the first place?
6 kids, 3 jobs. You don't have time to pay attention to those kids. I'm pretty sure that means that you don't really be home. The kids are here and there, and that's just the majority of the time when you hear a strong woman. Now, that other level that you just mentioned, that business office woman that says strong, those women more or less throw the independent, I don't need a man thing out there. And that's another one of the concepts I just mentioned about not being submissive to the point to allow a man to be a man, because men value women on certain levels and women value men on certain levels. That's why I asked you before, what would you consider to be a good man? Because you have a lot of women that throws a man's job into that what makes a good man's category. And based on them having their own money or being, I guess, educated and having a career and all these other stuff, they then devalue what you bring to the equation or the relationship. So now that they cannot value what you bring in that aspect, that really doesn't leave you many other windows, when that's basically the majority of the things that they saw you for was how can you provide or how much money you make or whatever. So they don't really respect you to the point that you can be a man and make a decision or have an argument and not get a backlash from the smallest of things. So you constantly get, I guess, head bucking in the situation because she feels like at the end of the day, you're replaceable because I have my own money. And anytime when you remove somebody's need to be needed, you then create a problem from the beginning.
Yeah. From
the very beginning. That's why you have so many like celebrity men that would be with like a really beautiful woman or whatever, and then something will happen and you'd be like, well, why is he messing around or whatever the situation
is. And the strong woman would say, well, why is he with that airhead?
All these other situations you have going on. There's celebrities all over the internet and stuff like that. You look at like a woman like Amber Rose or whatever, they'd be like, why is she with Wiz Khalifa? And then you found out, okay, well, Wiz Khalifa was I guess the story was she was messing with some twins or something like that. She saw him messing with or whatever. And you'd be like, she's so fine or she's so beautiful. What would make him think that? It's like you don't know how people are. And now that you're seeing everything unfold, she's admitting to doing some of the most pettiest things, period, and especially involving his son. So you really can't really say how people, I guess, make you feel. Like even look at Nicki Minaj's situation. She was a nothing, just a young girl from, I can't remember where she was growing up. I think in New York or something like that. She was dating a guy, Safari. You would never hear from him. You would never see him. You would see him on stage. You didn't know what his name was. You knew nothing. She blew up. He was helping her write everything, on the road with her, sleeping in the same bed every night. That was her, like, soulmate, so to speak, as they both say.
Right.
She blew up into Nicki Minaj, the big multi-million-dollar selling act character, whatever the situation is. Falling outs happened or whatever the situation was, but the backstory was she started treating him like an employee. She started treating him less than. She started talking to him any kind of way. All these other things. And a lot of that stemmed from because she's Nicki Minaj. She can't even go out without having security or having to tell them all ahead of time because they're going to have to shut it down if they have the amount of crowds they're going to pull. So he started getting treated like a flunky. Next thing you know, he got brushed into the corner. And now you getting disrespected on a level that you can't add up to because you're not financially on that page as her. So that's a whole different level of, I guess, flipping the coin when it comes to just not being, I guess, equally yoked. And that's a totally different conversation.
And going back to what you said about respect.
Exactly. So he doesn't really have any stomping grounds in that relationship at all, because she can do whatever she needs to do for herself. So if that's what you were looking at as a major factor in calling a man a good man, then you sort of wipe that aspect out of that man's life. Like, it'll be hard for her to say, I found a good man, if finances is the only thing. Because now she's going to say, I need to find a man who's millions of dollars rich and stuff like that too. But that guy has options. So now you just make yourself, replaceable.
Right.
So that's a sticky situation to walk around in anyway. So good man, good woman, that whole concept, like, that's, I guess it's subjective to the person that's describing it. But overall, I think the priorities that would be in the forefront of what people should be looking for, they're not looking for those things. Most people are just going into situations based on attention.
Mostly, like you said, attention, sex, money.
Basically.
Seems to be.
And they factor those things in to say he's a good man. And then after they make a couple of mistakes, they get to the point where they just settle with the best they could get.
Yeah.
Basically, the best they could get, and then they say, I'm going to just live life.
He's breathing and he stays at home, or he does whatever need that they feel is important to them at the time.
Yeah, but I'm sorry for these women out here that has to actually look for a good man, because it's a really horrible pool of men to stick your hand in. I'm just going to put it like that.
Yeah, you don't have to preach to the choir, okay?
Yeah,
so I think this is a good time to take a commercial break. You are tuned in to Ready for Change. I'm your host, Simmone L, Bowe, and we are joined by Epic forealz tonight. And we'll be right back on the other side of the break.
Hey, Chef Jovi here of the Eatsperience Radio Show. Join me 10 a.m. every Thursday to explore recipes, best restaurants, and food spots in and around the country. I look forward to receiving your comments, so follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's SPREAKER.com. And search MWHY Radio to join me every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Eatsperience Radio Show. And remember to share your Eatsperience.
The Queen Esther Radio Show is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me, Jessica Taylor,
and me, Jason Mosley, to be entertained by authors, artists, and spiritual leaders.
We look forward to being a blessing in your life every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Only on the MWHY Radio Network.
Hi there, I'm Rita Ricks, and I host Spirit Journeys Radio every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. Our theme for March is Being in the Present. As human beings, we spend way too much time focusing on what happened in the past or what might happen in the future, and we don't spend enough time living and enjoying today. Today will never happen again. So just imagine how much of your life you miss when you live outside of the moment. So join me 8 o'clock p.m. Tuesday as I coach you on how to manage your wandering mind. Also, my guests will share tools and processes they use in their daily journey to stay and be in the present. Remember, my purpose is to walk with you through 2015. We'll talk more on Tuesday.
Are you frustrated, disappointed, discouraged with your life? Are you angry with God? What's holding you back from fulfilling your purpose? Are you struggling as a leader in ministry? Do you believe you have an end-time calling? If you answered yes to any of these questions, tune in to The Waymakers on MWHY Radio Network every other Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here to support you. Join us to get the answers that will prepare the way of the Lord in your life.
Welcome back to the show. This is Simmone L on Ready for Change, a show where we don't just talk change, we live change. And tonight we're talking about the challenges of today's man as a part of the Good Man campaign. And you hear more about that as we go along. But tonight my guest is Epic forealz. And before the break, we were talking about what's a good man, what's a good woman, and all the other things that are involved in that. And so now on this second half of the show, we want to talk about the challenges specifically. And I challenged him to give me his top 5 challenges that today's man faces. And top we want to get, the top 5. We want to talk about what that is, the down and dirty, the nitty gritty, the real raw truth of what challenges men face today. So let's hear your number 1. And is this in order of importance or this is a random order?
I'm going to give you overall a random 5.
Okay, a random 5.
This may not be my top 5, but just based on time for the frames alone or whatever, I'm going to give you just the average 5.
Okay,
we're going to go with average 5.
So this number 1 isn't necessarily the top number 1 challenge of a man. Okay. No. Just one of the 5.
I would say the first challenge is being able to fit in socially with the people that you associate with, which would be guys. And I'm going to start this off with the guys aspect of it, because most men associate themselves in a group of other men or just when they run into other men or whatever. And it's almost like a who's the alpha. And a lot of times it turns into a, for lack of better words, pissing contest.
Oh, gosh.
Whereas you try to say, I either got more than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm faster than you, I'm more successful than you, or whatever it is, whatever aspect of manhood it is. So you tend to indulge in things that you shouldn't indulge in just so that you can fit into those social fabrics of what you surround yourself with. So you may have some guys that you, I guess, associate with, and I said it a little bit in the beginning, they're just all about women and chasing women and drinking and partying and all this other stuff. And to be able to just fit in with those people, you tend to adapt to some of those ways because you feel like you're the odd man out. It's like 9 people in the room want to go get Chinese food and you're the only one that want to go get Burger King. And they're going to be like...
Get out of here.
Yeah, like you don't even want to mention your Burger King no more because you're going to feel like it's not either going to impact it or you're going to sound real crazy. So you're going to be like, yeah, I'm feeling Chinese. So, even if you don't want it, you still go get it. So it's one of those things where you adapt to the wrong group of people. And I know a lot of people would say, well, why don't you just separate yourself from those people? It's not necessarily that easy. Done, huh? It may be in your neighborhood. It may be in your workplace. Maybe close friends. And maybe just people that you relate to on other levels. But that aspect of life is just, I guess, thrown into the wind, and you really can't, I guess, remove yourself from it that easy. But that's the easier, I'm guessing, number of the things that we are challenged with. I'm getting the second one.
Before you go to the second one, I have a little follow-up question. This
is about to get interesting.
But I think a basic human need is... acceptance and belonging. That is a basic human need for a man or a woman. But what is the importance of fitting in, as you call it, for a man and finding that social group that they can feel comfortable in and that they could feel that they can be authentic, that they have support?
Well, as you say, most people just want to be accepted. And even though it may sound like certain groups of people aren't really productive for you or whatever the situation is, you can still learn from a lot of different groups of people. Because I have certain friends, I have certain people I associate with, certain people I'm cool with, whatever the situation is, that it may not be the most wholesome of people or may not be the most goal-oriented or career-oriented group of people. But at the same time, there's so many things that I learned from those people when it comes to how they view life or how they hustle or their ability to stand their ground, or there's things that I learned from people that may not be seen as the best group of people to society's eyes or your mom's eyes or whatever the situation is, but you can learn from anybody. But everybody just necessarily wants to be, I guess, accepted and seen and noticed and appreciated, and that's why social media has turned into such a terrible tool, because now you can get instant gratification in a second for something you ain't created, something you're not responsible for, or just for your acts of stupidity. You can get your mistakes and problems praised. You can get yourself seen in ways that you're not actually living. You can create a false reality for yourself, and that's basically what social media has turned into on a, I guess, a broad scale. But just the levels of wanting attention and being acceptance and stuff, like that's a totally different conversation that can be spun into so many different directions and stuff like that. But
so do you think that you have a circle that you could say, yes, I have the support, the like-mindedness that I need as a man in the 21st century?
I have a few people that think the way that I think, that I tend to draw myself towards more so that I can pull, I guess, myself up and energy from them. And I tend to more or less communicate with those people on a more stern, open level, so that whatever's really going on in my mind, or whether it's a problematic situation or whatever it is, there's very few people, like I don't think that all my friends will help me or lift me up or whatever, but those very few people that I'm thinking about right now or whatever, those few people help me to stay within the realm of where I need to be. It's almost like I use it as a reference to say you plugged into the Matrix.
Right.
Like when you're unplugged from the Matrix, as the movie was, there's very few people that was up there in that ship that was unplugged. Like you had to be ready to be unplugged. And when you're unplugged, you see the world differently. You see the mistakes you was making. You see where you weren't living up to what's considered to be a man. But society was giving you room to say, yeah, you're just fine. You're okay, because my friends were okay. They were just letting me be the person I was, because I was just walking around in a system that was designed for me to feel that way. My friends were that way. The women I were around were that way. Some school I was at, high school wise, was that. Everybody I was around was just settling. I didn't see the mistakes until I removed myself from it and hang around people that had something going for themselves that I could compare myself to and say, am I really okay? Or am I just telling myself that because the people around me tell me that I'm okay, or I guess non-verbally make me feel like I'm okay? But everybody wants to be accepted. I'll put it like that. Everybody wants to be accepted, but it's how you want to be accepted is the question.
And by whom?
Exactly. But most of the time, it's the lowest common denominator of people that they care about, because they care more about numbers than quality. That's why I really only keep friends with about a handful of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote that, I think, in one of my books, that, one of the ones that I haven't released yet, but it's called The Real Deal, Real World Lessons for High School Graduates. And one of the real world lessons that I share was that your circle of friends is going to get smaller, but the quality is going to get better.
Basically.
And so when you're young, thinking that you're a part of the in-group, the popular crowd, and have the more friends you have, the better you are. And the older you get, you realize that the fewer people that you have who are really, like you say, the ones who have your back, the ones who will do or die for you, the ones who will go to the end of the earth for you, there are only going to be a handful of those people. And they're the ones that you can really count on when it matters the most. Yeah. So let me hear this second challenge now.
This is where we take the cat out of the bag on the rest of these.
Uh-oh.
Like that first one was like surface. Like
oh gosh, we're going in.
I'm taking the gloves off.
Okay.
I'm gonna Mayweather Pacquiao the rest of this and just let it be what it is.
Oh Lord.
The second challenge that the majority of men / good men have to deal with on a regular basis.
Oh dear. I'm afraid.
Dealing with women that are not qualified to be with them.
Oh. Okay.
That stung a few people in the gallbladder and kidney just now. So.
Okay, we're stunned. We're stunned with the stun gun.
See, want me to tell you what's funny?
Yeah.
Every time you speak about a man and what he deserves and his level of, let me see how to put this. I don't want to put this in the wrong way, because like I said, that backlash is gonna be real. Even though I'm not checking, the backlash is gonna be real. When you know your worth as a man, you have no problem speaking about that, showing that, making sure people know that this is what I deserve, this is what I will require, this is what I will not stand for, will stand for, whatever the situation is. But just speaking about a man on that level, it seems weird because you have a lot of men that don't ever, I guess, address life from that point of view. So you never really get to, I guess, express yourself or get what you deserve because you constantly feel like saying that is me being vain, saying that is me being, I guess, out of bounds or whatever. Now, on the other hand, a woman can say, I'm not going to deal with a man who's this. I'm not going to deal with a man who's that.
She normally will.
I'm not going to deal with a man who's under 6 feet. I'm not going to deal with a man who doesn't drive this kind of car. If the man doesn't have a job, I'm not going to deal with you. If this man have kids, I'm not doing no baby drama, mama drama. If a guy is overweight or fat, I'm not going to deal. Like, there's so many levels of I'm not going to deal with you because that can be thrown in a man's face. But if a man says anything he's not going to deal with, I'm not going to deal with a woman with kids. No, it takes a real man to deal with a woman with kids. Or I'm not going to deal with a woman with a bunch of weave in her hair. Or what happened? You don't like weave? You gay or something? Like, it don't matter what it is. You can't state this is what's going on. So when you really talk about a man that has his stuff together, you really, I'm just going to throw it out there, shouldn't have to deal with women that are not up to par. Because you have a lot of women that are running around that feel like they deserve the world when they are beneath it.
Oh my God.
I'll put it like that. This is about as raw as I can put it. You have some really, even though a lot of women don't want to own up to it, you have some really horrible women out there. Horrible.
And what do you describe as a horrible woman?
What I describe as a more horrible woman is the women that won't check those horrible women. The ones who protect those horrible women. Or when you bring them up, they beat around the bush as though those women don't exist.
Or excuse them.
See, when you bring up horrible men to me, I'm going to tell you, you're right. And I'll give you signs to watch out for some of these men and be like, I agree with you. You made a good point. When you bring up these types of women, even the women that are listening right now will be like, oh, he's being so rude. He's being so... No, you know, there's people in your circle of friends that are horrible women, but you keep company with them. You like that girl bringing all the guys around. You like having that girl as a measuring stick to say, well, at least I'm in a better situation than her. I've heard women with 2 kids say, at least I ain't got 4, like, homegirl.
Wow.
Like, they measure that horrible woman to them so that they can feel better about what's going on. And you have a lot of men that walk into situations with women that are just completely not up to par, but you've been raised to respect women on such a level that no matter what they bring to you, you accept it. You accept it because you don't value yourself and you've never been taught to value yourself. And that also comes with one of my other points, and that's being raised in a house where there's no dad. This is another challenge you got to deal with because you're talking about from the root of the problem at this point. The majority of black homes are raising kids by single-parent moms. And that is not a good thing. As much as women like to toot their own horn and pump their fists and say, I can do it on my own, I'm independent, I don't need no man. For that child, I'm pretty sure you do because y'all made it together and life was based around both sides of that coin.
Well, as someone who's worked with at-risk youth for a number of years and just even as in the classroom and all the other stuff, I can say, I mean, this isn't scientific, this isn't anything proven, but I can say for both gender of children, when you're talking about children, in particular the male child, but the female child as well is greatly impacted by the absence of a father in their lives.
That's a big difference. And a lot of people won't hold that to the fire because they feel like once you really make that, well, this, like I said, it goes way deeper. If I just speak on it from a Bahamian standpoint, then there's only so many levels I can take it because there's only so many parts of it that you're affected by. But if I talk globally and bring the U.S. and all these other places into it, I can really dig deep into the root of the problem and how it continuously stems and grows bigger and bigger. But you have a lot of homes where men are being raised by bitter women who struggling to raise them. A woman cannot raise a man. A woman can protect a man. A woman can keep a man safe. Not a man, but a boy, and raise him to that point or whatever. Like, there's certain things that a man needs to understand from another man. Most men or boys or whatever don't even know what it is to respect another man, because all he saw was that woman screaming at other men. All he saw was men in and out of the house. All he saw was his mother was nothing more or bigger than someone's girlfriend. He never valued anybody sticking around. He doesn't even really understand the concept of what family really is. So when he goes ahead and he grows up and he gets another girl pregnant, he doesn't feel like he needs to stick around or whatever, because his dad didn't stick around. Yeah. Mom raised a bunch of children in the house with no man or whatever. He doesn't value that level of life. So when you really think about the fact of how a lot of these black men are being raised in these situations where they're intentionally kept from the father. Not, okay, well, the father don't want to be a father, he's a deadbeat. You have a lot of those situations, but you have almost an equally amount of situations where women keep the child from the man because the man don't want nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
And they bottle the situation up to make it seem as though the man is a no-good deadbeat, because it's easy to pass that blame off, and nobody is the wiser as to why the child was even born to begin with. Because if I've had a conversation, I think it was the work the other day, when I talked about women being more responsible for childbirth than men. Just because of the fact that women should be more selective about who they have kids with. Women can die during their pregnancy. They can die during the delivery and birth. There are 407 types of birth control that women can take. Women are born with all the eggs that they will ever have in their existence. And every time they have a period, you have one of those eggs that are now coming down that chute, and you're going down to the point where there's either no more or you can't have children. A man can be up in his 50s, 60s and still be producing sperm or whatever. Yeah. There's different levels to being responsible for life. So when you turn around and say, okay, well, he should have wore a condom, I'm like, that doesn't really add up to the fact that nothing he could have done, period, in a relationship, for him to come talk to you, you had to allow him. Get your number, you had to allow him. To see you later, you had to allow him. To kiss you, you had to allow him. To sleep with you, you had to allow him. He get on his knee and ask you to marry him, you had to allow him. To have a child, you have to allow it. If you decide I don't want to have this child and give it up for adoption, he has no say in the matter. If you turn around and abort that child, he has no say in the matter. He turns around and says he don't want to be a father, and you say, you know what, you're going to be. And she leaves and takes him to another state. You're still going to pay child support, and she's going to force you to be a father. So there's levels to actually being more responsible or less responsible for a situation. And you have a lot of times when women use that to their advantage. Yeah. And just throw men under the bus and say, this is what's going on. So now you have these kids growing up resenting a man for no reason because mom said they should. He's a no good man. Your daddy ain't this, your daddy ain't that. Your daddy didn't have a chance. And that's not always the case. You have some horrible men that run from situations that was good situations in the beginning because they didn't know how to handle it. So I'm not disputing that aspect of it. But we talking in a broad space here. Right. We can't pretend like that aspect of the situation doesn't exist.
No, this is very real.
This isn't people getting married and then the man having a child with the person. No. This is people literally, and then you have people who say, I'm not getting on birth control because it's going to make me put on weight. So you're more concerned about not looking sexy, but bringing a child into the world. Then you have some people say, oh, I'm not taking birth control because I'm not out there having sex like that. Really? Mm-hmm. With 3 kids?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, gosh.
It's levels to this conversation. And like I said, I don't want to really dig too deep into certain aspects of it because like I said, the show is on time constraints or whatever. So I don't want to press one aspect of it, but it's a deeper conversation to have. There's a couple other points that I can touch on that, like I said, I hope they don't draw on too long. You have a lot of men that settle in life.
Explain that.
Well, that has nothing to do with women. That just have to do with them being men. That's just, you have a lot of men that don't see the value in who they should be. They wasn't taught that from the jump. They wasn't taught that through life. They don't understand what futures are. They don't understand what money, how it works, accounting. They don't understand what stocks is, bonds, nothing. They don't understand none of those concepts. So they value nothing beyond the present and maybe the day or week after. I know all my friends right now can tell me what they're doing this weekend coming, but the following weekend, they have no idea. They'll wait until that comes. You have other cultures of men that I've came in contact with that teach their kids all these things from the beginning. They teach these kids how to save, how to move, how to all these things. You save up your money in the summers, you work in jobs,
businesses,
and all that. They got lemonade stands, they got summer jobs, they got all these things. You get your first car, okay, well, you're going to save up and you're going to this, and you're going to wash cars in the summer to get it, and you're going to this, and they teach them the aspects of all these little things. And all this comes from having both parents in the home to begin with. But it just all boils down to, you have a lot of men that run around here and they don't really put themselves in position to be worthy of some of these good women that are running around here. And then they wonder why they can't find themselves a good woman, or they wonder why so many bitter women are around here. It's because so many half behind men are running around pretending to be good men and not putting themselves in the best position for these amazing women out there. And then you have some women that are on the rise, some are already on the rise or below them, that have no problem being with these men because they feel like, I can be your backbone because I can see you have potential. I can see where I can help you. I can see what you have passions about. But these men are so used to settling until all you do is ruin that woman's life. And now you put her in a position to have to start over with time gone, energy gone, all these things gone.
That potential thing in relationships is a killer.
Exactly.
Oh, no. So that should never be a basis.
So now you got a lot of men that just walk around in situations that could have been so much better that you could have... You can't even call shots. You have nothing to call your own. You don't own anything. You don't... Nothing. Your career isn't what it should be. You just working a mediocre job with a mediocre life, just mediocre. And then when you meet up with a woman that has no problem being your backbone and that battery in your back, you pretty much throw her out of whack because you literally have already convinced yourself that this is my life and this is how I'm going to roll.
And that usually is a source of frustration for women, because I've heard many women, and actually married women, who feel that, you know, their family wouldn't get to where they needed to be if they, as the woman, were not the driving force. It was almost as if the man just didn't have any drive. They didn't want any better. So I know of women who have gone out there and actually, quote unquote, almost behind their husbands' backs, made arrangements to purchase a family home or to build a home or something like that, because the man just wasn't doing anything. And the woman just got frustrated because they're like, we'll never get anywhere as a family. And so they push out and they strive and they go after it. And then sometimes, you know, the man is offended because, as we talked before, off air, you know, the woman isn't really allowing the man to be a man or to be needed and that sort of thing. But what about when the man is, like you said, settling to the point where the woman now wants to be the helper, wants to be the support, wants to be the battery in your back, as you said, but you ain't wound up. What do you do?
It's a lot. Like I say, there's a lot of situations where those problems come from the stem of things, from where the way you were raised and what you valued and what you thought was okay. So you grow up within a system and a mentality of thinking that the little that you have, you ever heard parents or anything say, it was good enough for me, so that means it's good enough for you? That's a horrible thing to say to a child. Like, why would you tell a child that? If it was good, like, you should teach them to do
more than what I did.
You should not just continuously say, if it was good enough for me, it was good enough for you. No, you should bring that person out of the hole that you were in and have them strive to bring the next generation behind them completely out of that hole, rather than trying to make it seem as though whatever you had to deal with
was honorable and fine.
Like
suffering and pain and settling and all this other stuff is honorable because I survived it.
Basically. So now you got a bunch of men running around just from the root of things with the wrong, which Bahamians like to call it brought-up-see.
Yeah.
With the wrong brought-up-see.
Upbringing.
That would give you that aspect of thinking that it's okay to just live a mediocre life with a regular job and a regular this and not really,
And like you say, you stop in the bar either every night or at least Friday night. You have happy hour. You self-medicate your way through the weekend, pay these bills. And it's like, oh, God, I have nothing to live for outside of this. So it's just, eat, drink, pay bills, die, have kids, whatever. I mean, it's just like... it has to be a greater life than that.
I got friends that do the same thing, clockwork, every week. All they do is sit down all day, drink. They post pictures of it all day. They this, they that. And I've already put myself in a position to know that I can't surround myself with even things that seem fun that I know is toxic for me. Because not everything, most of the things that are good is always necessarily bad for you. It's always the hard stuff that puts you in the position to look back at things and be like, well, this is comfortable, this is good for me. But the initial things that are fun and enjoyable and stuff, most of the time it's the wrong things that involve yourself in or whatever. So when you talk about these men that are just settling and putting themselves in situations they shouldn't be, the root of the situation is already covered. But now the constant, it filters right back into that social fabric, the people you surround yourself with, the people that won't check you and say, are you saving your money? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? You don't keep those kind of friends. And when you do get around those kind of friends, you feel so timid that you either adapt and build to those people's level, or you run back to that little crowd that you used to keep that was okay with your mediocre lifestyle and your mediocre mindset.
The one-eyed king in a blind world.
Basically. So you just have to either deal with it or adapt to it. And most people just deal with it and run back to their friends that was living a little raggedy lifestyle. But I like what you said earlier about the whole lead thing, because I think that was my last point when it comes to one of the challenges, which was you have a lot of situations where women don't allow men to be men.
Yep.
That is one of the most dangerous, I guess, points that I could have brought up when it comes to men not being allowed to be men, because the last thing you need is a man running around that is not capable of being a man.
And what do you mean by that? Allowing a man to be a man? What does a man need to be a man or to fully express his manhood?
Well, that's where the problem lies, because each man is subjective to what makes that man a man. I could be humble and like to sit down and take care of my woman and chill and relax and come home to peace and go to picnics and chill and relax and be okay. And I put on my jeans and we go to the movies and we watch movies at home and we take family road trips. But you have a lot of women that would perceive you as soft, as a punk. You ain't talking to me bad. You ain't shouting. You ain't turned up. You ain't this. So you now have to lie to yourself and be this falsified man, I guess, that all the ladies like, so that they would, him too, so that they would even as much as notice you. Or even if you get in a relationship with a woman or whatever that won't allow you to speak your mind or put your foot down and make a decision without having to be barked back at or having to debate. Or you say, look, this is what's going down. If I make a mistake, we'll grow from the mistake. There's women that understand that I'll allow him to make a mistake, even though I know that it's going to probably not go in the best direction. But I want him to be able to make that mistake so that he will grow from it as a man. Because the more mistakes he makes that I'm watching his back on, so that it's not a mistake that's detrimental to us, that he can build from, it makes him a better man. But for you to just say, you're not going to do this because I say you're not going to do this, it doesn't work that way. It's just as much as a woman may come and say, babe, what movie you want to go watch tonight? You pick the movie. But let him know that maybe I want to watch Harry Potter tonight. He's not going to just throw you in the wind and say, no, we're going to watch Fast and the Furious, because he knows you want to watch Harry Potter. So giving him the ability to make that decision while still allowing him to know what it is you like, chances are he's going to go watch Harry Potter. But it gives him that boost of confidence to know that my woman is allowing me to make these decisions or whatnot, and you get what you want while still allowing him to be a man. So that level of allowing a man to be a man is a sticky one, because like I said, it comes down to how that man is. And you have a lot of women that bark that whole, I'm a feminist and I'm independent and I don't need no man and all this other stuff. And you bring yourself to the point of like ready to compete with whatever he brings to the table, whether it's a conversation, an argument, a debate, a problem, whatever it is. You're just so ready to bark back up that tree that you train yourself to hate yourself.
Oh my God.
You teach yourself to not love what it is that you are, because you want to be loved. You want to be catered to. You want to be treated right. You want to be all these things as a woman. But when you put yourself in the presence of a man that wants to do that, you want to force him to do it the way and the times that you want him to do it in. I've had a situation where I know a girl to this very point right now. She's been with a guy for, I can't remember how many years. It's got to the point where she's been with him for a while, and she started pressuring him. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married, or whatever. And he was hesitant about it, not really doing it. You know, why you rushing that? Boom, 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 all this other stuff. It went on for so long until she started to resent him. Long story short, she broke up with him and distanced herself. Now, she went on into the real world, and after a few months, she realized that was the worst decision she could have possibly made. As she now reflect on it, all of his uncles and the men around him or whatever had situations where they were either married before and it didn't work out or whatever. So she don't really know where the influences was coming from that was really keeping him a little bit standoffish, nor did she really speak to him in a point that, or in a way that it would allow him to tell her why he was so standoffish or backing off of the situation or whatever. Long story short, she wants him back now. He don't want nothing to do with her.
Oh boy.
That was his first ever girlfriend.
Wow.
And they've been together for maybe 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, something like that. And he feels let down because he felt like you had the ability to walk away from me.
Yeah.
So now
without giving me a chance or let me talk.
Exactly.
But some women would look at that and say, well, you know, I've given you the best of those 8, 9, 10 years. If you really, because they'll say, well, men know what they want. So if you really wanted me, if you really wanted to make a commitment, then you would have made it a long time ago. And that's the kind of pressure that women get put under. Women are told by their girlfriends and whoever around them, their social circle, would say that, you know, this man is not serious about you and you're wasting your time being with him.
But see, that comes back into the point of letting a man be a man, because if someone's not making a decision or you're not getting an answer to a problem, the logical thing to do is address the root of the problem in a way that you would get the response or the answer or whatever it is that you want out of the situation. If somebody runs up in your house with a gun and says, give me all your money, and you want to know, okay, why are you here? Why are you robbing me? You don't just bark at the person and act crazy. You do what you need to do to get the information that you need. So if you're not getting what you want, which is the ring on your finger to make you feel secure in their situation, you should address the root and be like, okay, let me find out why is he not approaching this in the way that I would want him to. But that's not necessarily what's happening. You're getting these outside influences that's just saying, you're wasting your time, he isn't interested in you, or he's doing something else, or
never
maybe
gonna
he don't
commit.
want you. You get all of that when you never really get the full end of things. And a lot of times people walk around with insecurities. People walk around with different frames of mind about stuff. Some people are judgmental about big decisions, all sorts of things. So you don't never really know the depth of things, and all you do is just take a man and put him in a box and say, this is what you should or should not be doing because of the fact that this is what I want, and if you're not giving me what I want, then, you know, you're either less than a man, or you're not serious, or you're whatever. Like that. That's sort of frustrating for a man to have to go through, knowing that you're programmed, so to speak, to take care of a woman. So you're never really going to be as combative as she can be, because it comes across as either catty or feminine, or you're not really a man or whatever. So if you don't have that woman that's willing to, I use the word again loosely, be submissive towards your opinions and your ideas, and you just being you, then it's hard to really get your point across, because you constantly are just back and forth clashing with somebody that doesn't want your opinion. They want your compliance.
Wow, that's really powerful, because it caused me to think about what you said earlier, that you're being trained to hate yourself. Like and that goes back to the point that I was talking about when I defined a good man, that a man who can be himself, I think, is a great quality. Any person, I think, who can be authentic makes them a good person. And anyone that can't relate to who you are and trying to make you into someone else, then you're barking down a very dangerous road. Because at the end of the day, that's only going to backfire for everybody concerned. Because you could only be true to yourself. You could only fake for so long, and at some point you're going to get tired of that.
I saw a quote by the same Tony Gaskins that we spoke about during the break.
Yes.
And he actually made a quote that said, you see the world for the way that you see yourself. And when you decide to change the way that you see yourself, that's when you decide to see. So you have a lot of times you'll see people say, all I'm running into is bad men, or I'm running into horrible women, or whatever. It's because you internally are that person. You may not be the people you're running into, but you have so much things that are hindering you from being a great person that you're now portraying and just attracting these things. It's the same reason why millionaires have no problem running into other millionaires, because they're in that circle of people. They have the money to facilitate these situations. They have these things in place. So if you're constantly seeing the world through a thug's eyes, or someone who thinks that
men
sex
are dogs.
through men are dogs' eyes and all this other stuff. You constantly get that back because it's internal within yourself. Something about you don't like about yourself, and you want other people to accept you the way that you don't accept yourself. So that's why they do so many things, and they lash out, and they want people to agree with them in ways that they don't even agree with themselves about. And they just go with the flow and think that it's going to just be all peachy keen when they know that they're completely miserable inside, but never really want to admit it. So you just... unhappy on many levels. Many levels. Ruining lives as you go. It's
true. Because when I heard that for the first time, I was like in complete denial, that you create your own world, and that you have to become what you want to attract. So whatever it is in your life it's you created that. Yep. And you're like, what? No way, these two to this and that, and this happened and that happened and the next thing happened. And then, whatever it is that, and this other quote that I heard before is whatever upsets you about someone else is something that is unhealed in you. Yep. And it's something that you need to face in yourself. So when I heard that, I was like, what? No way. Da, 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 da. But when you really think about it, it's like, people only are mirrors. The world is only our mirror. It's only reflecting back what we put out. Yep. And until we are, and that's really the basis behind this whole campaign and all of that, is because we really have to take greater, deeper looks at ourselves, how we operate, as both genders. And we really need to come and the core values of this whole campaign is, it actually is a little acronym of SIR, because in the Bahamas we have this saying that if you don't know a man, call him Sir, right?
But, well, that's been working out.
I know, right? But for the core values of this whole campaign is support, it's understanding, and it's respect. And I think for us to have better gender relations, that's really the basis of everything. That's the basis of life. If we could be there for each other, if we could support each other, and on all levels, not just in relationships, whatever, or, romantic relationships, platonic relationships, work relationships, wherever we find ourselves, because we have to interact with people. We can't be in the world and not interact with people. Yeah. So if we could support each other, if we could understand each other, and not from a place of, I'm trying to up you, I'm trying to best you, but I'm just trying to understand who you are, who is Epic, what makes him tick. And
good
then
luck with that one.
well,
let me stop.
That was maybe not a good example, but
I don't even know what made me think. I think I think the first step to people or anybody that's listening to this that want to take this on a test run, this is the first step that I think to life. Stop lying to yourself. I think that is the first step to everything. Stop lying to yourself. You have a lot of times where you lie to yourself about the way that you are, the way that you're living, the way that you think about things, the way that you value yourself, the mistakes that you might have made already to this point. Take responsibility for the things that you've done. Quit lying to yourself. That's number one. If you can get to that point where you can tell yourself, look, I definitely was responsible for that. I could have done that better, whatever. Now you can address problems in a better light, because you can't continuously blame the outside world for your problems, because they don't live with you. They don't live around you. They don't live within you. None of these things you can get somebody to fix for you. You can fix the things for yourself, though. So if you own up to the problems that you basically created for yourself by taking ownership to them, then you can take the steps forward to create situations that would not allow these problems to come back or to manifest. You can actually address them from an internal standpoint. Mm-hmm. Growth in an epic fashion.
Hey. And trust me, growth and change, I'm all about change and transformation and transition. And that's one of the things that people really run away from. Growth hurts. When we were growing up, we would say, oh, I have a growing pain, and you have this horrible pain in your leg or in your joints or whatever. And your parents will tell you, it's because you're growing, Yeah. Growth hurts. It really does, because when you have to face yourself, when you have to look at these are the mistakes that I've made. This is the crap that I've done, whether consciously or unconsciously. This is the stuff, the ugly stuff that's going on inside me that I have to face, that I have to get rid of. Make this conscious effort to move away from what is toward what I want to be. That's tough. That's tough, and especially if you don't have the support, that's going to help to push you toward that direction and not pull you back to what is comfortable. And I can tell you from personal experience, when you are striving to be different, people always want you to be the same.
Yeah,
because
it validates themselves.
It validates them. It gives them a role and a purpose in your life. And then it's just comfortable. You know, so they may say, well, Simmone is just my friend with all the drama and she's whack and she's making stupid decisions. So the day that Simmone decides she's not making stupid decisions anymore, she's being more assertive, she's speaking her mind.
You just
now,
raised the bar.
Now Simmone is like a totally different, she's just out of whack. You know?
You shouldn't have raised that bar.
You understand?
You're trying to climb for that bar. They love that bar right where it was.
Leave the bar. Why are you trying to change what's working, even though it's not working? And that's the basis of change, where people love the uncomfortable comfort zone, you know. So I may not like it, but I know it's comfortable, and this is where I want to stay. And so when you talk about moving toward transformation and change, it's going to be uncomfortable, you know. So as a strong, independent woman, I am all of those things, but I had to learn that, look, if you want to have better relationships with people, you have to have give and take. You have to be able to recognize who you are, what you bring to the table, who they are, what they bring to the table, being able to value other people, being able to stand down. You know, I just did a post on Facebook the other day about strength. You know, true strength is being able to not show how strong you are.
That is very, very... I don't see the average... Let me not say that. I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to just go in the wind and say, I don't see that happening for certain people. Being able to keep them their strength levels to themselves. And not flaunt that in people's face. I think that's about as far as I'm going to put that. I believe that one alone.
It's not easy. And I learned it from my piano and vocal coach before he fired me because I wasn't practicing, but that's a whole other story. Thank you, Lee Callender. But I just put you on blast. But yeah, but that was one of the lessons that was really powerful for me because he is a phenomenal musician. I mean, someone who knows the inside and outside of piano to the point where I don't know anybody who is like him. And when he plays so simply. This is a man who knows everything. I mean, he teaches music. So he knows the ins and the outs of the music. He knows all the chords, whatever. He could play in any key you could find. But if he's going to play for you and you're singing whatever, he will play the simplest structure of that song. And you'll be like, amazing. This man can play whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And he said, you know, that is not the creation of music. That's not the test of strength. I don't have to show you that I know everything that I know to show you and to prove to you that I know what I know. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's real strength. That's real power. When you talk about the word submit, that's submission right there.
It takes strength to submit.
It takes strength to submit.
To be quiet and listen and take in and learn and grow and say.
Absolutely.
That takes strength.
Absolutely.
To refrain.
To refrain. I've been in situations where I know more than the people around me. But because of their role, because of respect, because of support, because of understanding, I slow my roll. I step back. I allow them to be. And that takes great strength and restraint. Because you're looking at it like, you know what? I could run rings around you.
Never show the master that you have surpassed him.
So I'm like, maybe I do need to go into martial arts and channel some of this. You know, but it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. And I think that when it comes to allowing men to be men, that women need to get to the place where, yeah, you may be able to change a tire. Yeah, you may be able to pay your bills. Yeah, you may be able to raise your children. And we're not discounting anyone for being able to do those things because sometimes you have to do those things. I found myself in situations as a single woman, someone who's married before and then single and having to deal with life and take responsibility for myself. There's no one around to pick up the slack for me anymore. So I had to do it. But then you have to find yourself also where there's someone that wants to do that in whatever level, that you allow them to do that you allow them to be who they are. Yep. So for the betterment of everybody, for harmony, for music, to go back to that example.
Love, family, and respect. Women, that's what you need to look for. Now, his pockets can come as plan B. Let that follow up. Love, family, and respect. But look for somebody who values love, family, and respect to the point where it meets your needs, and then base your relationship ventures on that. Because most of the time, that dude that has the money, that has more than you, or whatever the situation is, you come off as replaceable to him. You come off as somebody that he doesn't have to respect wholeheartedly in a lot of instances. Not all of them, but a lot of instances. And it's the reason why a lot of men has to deal with women that don't respect them to a certain extent when they make more money than the man. They look down at the situation because they feel like at the end of the day, I got find another you. Exactly. And I can find another you in a minute because my needs that are money-based, I can take care of those in a heartbeat. So you're not necessary in this equation. So,
and that's not a nice position to put anybody.
Yeah, and it's worse when you get that put in your face.
Exactly.
And having to deal with that on a daily basis. You come home with like your tail tucked between your legs every day because you feel like when you're ready to express yourself, you can't.
You can't.
Because there's a gun to your head, really.
Yeah, and that has become more prevalent as women have attained more. And, they put men in this position, well, this is my house, this is my stuff, whatever, you get out. And, we really need to pull all that stuff back. It's really not respectful. And if someone did it to you, you wouldn't like it. And so why do we build up this wall and this barrier between us and men? I don't know. People ask me, why are you trying to even do this campaign or whatever? But, this is like a never-ending story, they feel. But I just feel that we ought to, raise the level of conversation, that we need to talk about some of these things that may have been taboo and just really address stuff to make things better for all concerned. Because it makes no sense us harping on what horrible women, as you call it, and then we talk about men are dogs, and then we're just making things worse and worse, and we're raising generations of children that come up with the wrong ideals and values and principles that they're living by. So I think, the buck has to stop somewhere.
Lift each other up and address the problems from the root. And I think that would be the best 2 steps you can probably take. Address the problem from the root and build each other up.
Yep.
But earn the respect that you're wanting. Let me put it like that. Male, female, dog, cat, witch.
Oh, gosh.
Earn the respect that you're demanding. Don't just walk around and say you deserve it. No, you don't. You got to earn it.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, thank you so much, Epic forealz, for joining us on Ready for Change. I know it's not going to be the last time, and I know we're going to see more of you on the Good Man campaign because we have some great stuff in store for that, not just for the radio show, but we're planning some other things to really take the movement to a wider scale. So thanks for joining us tonight.
No problemo. I tried to keep the humor to a minimum because I know this is a pretty serious topic and some points really needed to be made. But if you hear my voice ever again, just know 400 pounds of jokes coming in my pocket. So I'm gonna keep it cool on the good mind topic. But you bring me back on.
Oh gosh. Part 2, people. Part 2.
Indeed.
Well, we will be right back after this short commercial break. You're tuned into Ready for Change.
Hello, I'm Sherelle of Fit and Flow Yoga Radio. Wake up with me every Friday at 6 a.m. and have a wonderful yoga experience. We'll explore meditation and discuss how various yoga postures can help relieve your everyday stress. We'll also make the connection between our faith and wellness. Follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And also search MWHY Radio to join me every Friday at 6 a.m. for Fit and Flow Yoga Radio with Sherelle. And until next time, surrender to your strength and always embrace your flow.
If you're the parent of a child with behavioral challenges that has been suspended, expelled, or just not able to make it in a traditional school setting, there is an alternative. Call the Metropolitan Day School today. Licensed and accredited grades K through 12. Call 804-321-2595. Financial assistance and after-school programs are available. Let's turn this school year around right now at the Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar. Call Miss Thomas today, 804-321-2595.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our host here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our host and upcoming contests and our TV programming that'll be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and you.
Thank you for sticking around tonight for Ready for Change. And this is the show where we don't just talk change, we live change. Tune in because we have some great shows lined up for you, especially in the area of the Good Man campaign. We got some great men who are going to share some deep and powerful and raw insights about the state of manhood today. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. I'm so excited to just step back and watch great men rise to the forefront and share what they have to say with the world. So tune in next time on Ready for Change. I'm your host, Simmone L. Bowe. Listen, this is the show where we don't just talk change, we live change. So, are you ready for change?
Take my heart, Lord, 'cause I'm really desperate for change. I don't wanna be the same. No, 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 no. I am crying out to you, 'cause only you are able to make me brand new. Lord, I'm ready for change. I can't keep living like this. I don't wanna be the same. Lord, I'm ready for change. From the inside out, I don't wanna be the same. Falling and tripping, making the same mistakes. I can't continue living my life this way. Constantly going astray. Ooh, so crazy when I mess up.